if you are hearing a voice to kill yourself and you're still alive, then you are stronger than those voices. Wasn't that beautiful? And it was very effective too. And immediately when Officer Povin said that, R still looked scared and worried, but she no longer looked unhinged, and she looked like she had much more control. Okay, so my name is John Thomas Kuzmarski-Kuz, and I'm going to be presenting Effective Mental Health Crisis De-Escalation, my recovery story. So for the next 20 to 25 minutes, I'm going to be introducing myself and kind of how things are good right now in my life, and things are good at my journey now, things are good with my career, and I'm stable now. And I show you that in this presentation because I then get into the crisis number one, where I was the causal epicenter. I caused that crisis. My mental health 12 years ago was so bad, compared to now especially, that I caused a crisis. And I go into, and that was resolved with strength and calmness. And then I talk about crisis number two, where R, my journey member R, was at the epicenter. And that was resolved with evidence-based logic and good rapport. And then finally, I have a third crisis where C was at the epicenter, and that was resolved with environmental change and restoring the capacity to dream. And then finally, I conclude with a powerful, quick CIT quote. Okay, so turning the page to slide 3, about myself, you can see nowadays, just last year in September, a little over a year ago, you can see my brother James, my mom, my middle brother Thomas, my father, and myself in a cedar forest outside Seattle, Washington for my middle brother's wedding. The tallest man there was getting married. I was the best man. I gave a speech. It was great. And family life is excellent now. And in the middle, a little more family life, the brother on the far left, James, had a son, Huckleberry. That's his legal name. Legally, yeah. And it's just so immensely invaluable being an uncle. Like, it brings me so much joy. There's a low amount of responsibility. When the nephew starts getting rambunctious, hey, parents, dad, take him back, you know. And but a high level of play. And I love, it's such a blessing to be an uncle. I absolutely love it. And my nephew Huckleberry is adorable. And then the last photo there segues to my journey, because that's my good friend, supervisor, and co-worker Kyle Abbott and I in Lansing for our peer conference, where we get continuing education units for our ongoing MDHS certified peer sports specialist training. So we're a state certified healthcare worker. And this leads us to my journey, and things are great at my journey, where we help people to learn how to live again. And there's 3 photos there, and they represent the 3 main types of events on our monthly calendar. Every day at my journey, we have some of these types of events. They're a group class, a holiday experience, or an excursion. So the group classes here, that was a little over almost 2.5 years ago. That class was called Professing the Positive. And in that class, we deliberately denounced and let go of negative thoughts and chose to proclaim, to profess, to declare positive things. And I've facilitated over 250 classes at my journey, and that one was an excellent one. So we snapped a photo, it put us in a great state. We're having a great time there. And then middle photo, Independence Day, 4th of July, just about 3 months ago. We had that great group photo with mostly members, a couple volunteers, a couple staff. And then finally, the last type of event we have at my journey is an excursion. An excursion. Most weeks it's to the bowling lanes or to the movies or to a beach or to a park for a walk. But once a year we take our biggest excursion annually, and that's to Lansing and back for the Walk a Mile in My Shoes Mental Health Awareness Rally. And that's where we were just about 2 weeks ago on the Capitol steps. And you can see the member there that you may have met out who's here today, Valerie, holding a speech. I was actually introducing her before she gave a speech in front of about 1,500 people were there. So it's a big event, and it's to generate awareness for public necessity of public funding for mental health, basically. And it's a great fun event, and so life is good now. You know, I've got great family life, got a great career, everything is pretty golden, but it was not always as such. And this leads us to the first crisis on June 28th, 2013. And before I go into that crisis, I just want to share a little statistic. According to the Substance Abuse and Mental Health Services Administration, 23.1% of our countries, of the US populations, has a mental health challenge, a mental health illness of some sort. But only 1.3% of that of our population has an SMI, or a serious mental illness. I have an SMI. I have a serious mental illness. My mental health affliction is schizoaffective disorder, bipolar type, which when untreated and symptomatic, it's been years since I've been symptomatic, but when you're afflicted with this mental health challenge, it is a brutal, walloping affliction that I would never wish on anybody. It's got the features of a thought disorder of schizophrenia. So you get the delusions and the disorganized thinking and the auditory hallucinations and the paranoias of a thought disorder of schizophrenia. But you also get the mood swings of the manias and the depressions and the manias of a bipolar mood disorder, all combined in one nice, unpleasant package. And it can easily cause a person to lose the foothold of sanity in their life. And that's what happened to me on June 28, 2013. So on that day, if we go to the now, let's see here, the 6th slide. So we're into crisis 1 here. You can see there's a newspaper article that was published the day after this crisis from the Buchanan Chronicle, and it's called A Voice from the Woods. I was the voice from the woods, and the article details a man who was chaotically, viciously, wildly screaming in the 108-acre Mud Lake Forest Nature Preserve bog of Buchanan for hours, just wildly, maximum volume. And all 3 forms of emergency response were alerted, and there was EMS, firefighters, and law enforcement, all conducting a huge search party for me in the forest that day. And at that time, I was really scared of people, and I was afraid of people, and I was nervous about people. So when they started shouting back, I got quiet because I didn't want to be found. But eventually, after many hours, about 4 to 5 law enforcement officers entered the forest clearing. And this is kind of the pinnacle moment of this first crisis de-escalation. They had such a tremendous presence of strength and calmness that it soothed me. Like at that time, my mind was very weak, very fragile, very psychotic. And just their presence, I remember, was calming, soothing. They never rebuked me. They were very kind. They knew I needed medical treatment. And they got me medical treatment. I went to Corwell, at the time Lakeland, that day. And I started the longest hospitalization I've ever had in my life. Hopefully, it will still be the longest. And that started my recovery. So I was given a chance to recover that day. But that strength and calmness, just the presence of strength and calmness in the forest clearing, I can remember that so clearly, even though it was 12 years ago. It was tremendously effective. And then I underwent, for the next 8 years, I did 3 stays in adult foster care homes, totaling 2 years and 10 months, and 5 total hospitalizations, 4 of which were involuntary. It was a lot of work. I put a lot of energy into my recovery, but it paid off. Because if you flip to the next slide 7, you can see not my psychotic, insane story in the newspaper wasn't published. This is my success story. And this was published May 13th, 2023. And it details the bog. And that day, when I was screaming in the bog, I describe it as I was looking up at rock bottom. Like I had to improve my position to even reach rock bottom. That's how bad things were. And then the article talks about how now I've got this great home that overlooks Lake Michigan. I've got a great car because I didn't have a vehicle back then. And most importantly, I've got this fulfilling career where I have the opportunity to provide hope, encouragement, acceptance, and guidance and understanding to the mental health community. So the recovery worked because I was given a chance to recover, and it was amazing. Okay, and now when I tell this story to people and describe screaming in the bog, back then on June 28, 2013, I hadn't showered in like 6 months. My hygiene was deplorable. I didn't understand the need for treatment. I was completely out of it. I completely checked out, And that was like negative $1 million. And like right now in life, I'm doing pretty well. I'm like plus 10,000. So I describe that to people. They say, well, how did you get there? How did you go from negative $1 million to plus 10,000? And my solution to that is what I call are the 5 good mental health dailies. So these are most things I do every day. The first one is something actually I don't do every day, and that's ongoing therapy or coaching, which could be every week, every month, every couple of weeks. But it's my contention that you need a trusted therapist or coach to talk about things that worry you, that vex you, that you're sad about. That you can even talk about victories. It doesn't have to be all bad stuff, but I'm convinced you need that for good mental health. The second one is admittedly highly controversial, but it's my contention that everyone should be taking some form of medication or supplement daily. It doesn't have to be prescribed antipsychotic medication like me that I take daily, but maybe it could be like a vitamin C or a multivitamin or a garlic pill or some form of supplement. Is my belief that you need that for good mental health. The third one is more understandable but requires a lot of motivation, and that's daily exercise. It's hard to work out every day, but it works the doors of success that open with the good mental health that arises from working out every day are phenomenal. Like the body is connected to the mind, so the body's connected to the mind, so you keep the body healthy, keep the mind healthy as well. So we got ongoing coaching therapy, daily meds, daily exercise. The fourth one is daily communication with friends, family, and coworkers, because isolation was a huge problem that caused serious mental health decline in the past. So if you daily communicate with somebody supportive, be it a text, in person, phone, email, then you won't have that isolation, and you'll be better off. And the last one is practicing the craft of kindness to yourself and to others. Now that might sound like a little hallmark moment, like, oh, that's so sweet, a little sprinkle on these 5 little daily to-dos, daily good mental health to-dos, but that's a real one of the 5 dailies. That's the last one. And the Dalai Lama, one of the major figures of one of the 5 major religions of the world, Buddhism, once said, "My religion is simple, my religion is kindness." So if one of the most paramount figures of one of the 5 major religions says his whole religion is just being kind to people, it's pretty important. And with Christianity, in the Bible, it says in Ephesians 4:32, "Be kind to one another, tender-hearted, forgiving one another." And so, it's talked about in Christianity and religions and spiritually. Kindness is definitely one of the 5 good mental health dailies that got me to where I am today. Okay, so now we're moving on. We're getting into crisis number 2 now. Totally different story. For these next 2 crises I present, I'm fully recovered. I've been certified peer support specialist and assistant director here at My Journey for a number of years. I'm doing well, and these are about 2 of our members. So this one is a little quote I have here that I thought of about this crisis, and it's, "No matter how disruptive their behavior is, an individual experiencing a genuine mental health crisis is a victim. They are a victim of their own disturbed mind. The antidotes to that chaotic mental state are strength, calmness, good rapport, kindness, and sound reasoning." Okay, so this crisis brings us to February 3rd, 2023. So over 2 years ago, and it involved R. R had psychosis, spontaneous fits of hysteria, panic attacks, and suicidal ideation. So Kyle and I called EMS, reporting her symptoms, also that she had ingested 3 to 4 thumbtacks. And law enforcement arrived first. And fortunately, the law enforcement officer that arrived was very well trained in suicide crisis negotiation. And the star of this de-escalation was Officer Alex Povins of Benton Township Police Department. Do you know him? Mm-hmm. Excellent. So at one point, R, Kyle, myself, another law enforcement officer, and Officer Povins were waiting in our foyer, in our lobby, for the ambulance. And R was panicked, hysterical, crying, very manic, very, very upset. And she kept saying, "I keep hearing these voices to kill me." That's what she kept hearing in her mind. And then Officer Povins did something beautifully effective and immensely resourceful. He said, "Well, if you are hearing a voice to kill yourself and you're still alive, then you are stronger than those voices." Wasn't that beautiful? And it was very effective too. And immediately when Officer Povins said that, R still looked scared and worried, but she no longer looked unhinged, and she looked like she had much more control. Because she did realize she had more control over her mental faculties. And Officer Povins used evidence-based logic. He said, if you're hearing this voice to kill you, and there's a stronger voice in there that's keeping you alive, you are stronger than those voices. He kind of proved that to her. But he also used rapport. Rapport is the harmonious connection between two people where feelings are strong and there's this sense of connection and understanding. And R felt understood that day by Officer Povins, and that de-escalated her effectively. So that's a great crisis de-escalation right there. Okay, and now we're moving on to crisis number 3. We're going quite swiftly through this.
It's great, you're doing fabulous.
Okay, good. Thank you, Leanne.
Yes.
Thank you for that positive feedback.
Yes.
That's very helpful. Thank you.
Yes.
Excellent. Okay, so crisis number 3 was on July 9th, 2024. And this was where C was at the epicenter of the crisis. C had suicidal ideation, and I was working with him, and he wanted to call the suicide crisis hotline. We did that. It didn't work. He hung up after 5 to 6 minutes, leaving just me, John Thomas Komarski-Coos, assistant director, to address C's mental difficulties at the time. And I thought, there are 2 ways we can arrive at, 2 things might help this as a solution. One, taking a brisk, brief walk, or actually it was a long walk outside, because it's a very simple mental health tool. I'm not going to say it's sort of simple, it is very simple, going for a walk. But it helped. You get the change of environment. If there's any environmental triggers inside that are setting him off, he gets that change of scenery. You get the fresh air, the movement. It all helped him de-escalate. But the second thing was I restored his capacity to dream. And I didn't read this, so I'm going to read this because it's related to this part. And this is the quote here about this crisis. I'm convinced that in any incident of suicidal ideation, the person suffering has temporarily lost the ability to positively dream. Once the capacity to dream is restored, the anger will dissipate, the confusion will clear, and the problem will be solved. So I got C going for a walk on the exterior of our center outside, and I restored his capacity to dream. How did I do that? Well, what's one thing all of us humans can easily dream about, especially if we're hungry? Food, yes, food. So I got him brainstorming about food. I created a thought experiment with 3 criteria. Okay, I was like, C, you got to think of the biggest feast possible where you don't have to buy the food, you don't have to get the ingredients for the food, and you don't have to prepare or cook the food. You just have to eat it. And he just started rambling away all his dishes. He was really into it. I don't remember all the dishes he thought of, but I do remember 20 pieces of fried chicken was just one of the items on the menu of this big feast. And it got him out of the suicidal ideation. He started positively dreaming again. He started thinking positively. And then about 45 minutes later, I didn't backtrack, but I reflected back to those suicidal ideation thoughts and was like, see, do you remember those thoughts? Oh yeah, let's not have those thoughts. Let's repel away from those and drift towards these more positive thoughts. And by creating that comparison and contrast of mental states, of the suicidal ideation to the positive state of dreaming, of feasting, of thinking positively, he now has more of a choice to lean towards those positive thoughts. So that one was de-escalated effectively as well, which was great. Okay, and that leads us to this final quote here. It's by Chaim Janot, who's an educator and psychotherapist, and it's fitting for realizing the power that you all have as law enforcement officers to resolve and effectively de-escalate a mental health crisis. Okay, so here's the quote. I have come to the frightening conclusion that I am the decisive element. It is my personal approach that creates the climate. It is my daily mood that creates the weather. I possess tremendous power to make life miserable or joyous. I can be a tool of torture or an instrument of inspiration. I can humiliate or humor, hurt or heal. In all situations, it is my response that decides whether a crisis is escalated or de-escalated, and a person is humanized or dehumanized. If we treat people as they are, we may make them worse. If we treat people as they ought to be, we help them to become what they are capable of becoming. And I like that quote. Kyle introduced me to that quote. I've used it every year for CIT, and it's a very powerful quote. Because who knows if the next unstable, chaotic member right there on the scene could later on be a success story like me, where I go back into the community and help members of the mental health community have hope and encouragement and get jobs and housing and have classes and successful. Or Vincent van Gogh, who in an asylum in Saint-Remy, France, painted one of the greatest paintings of all time. He painted Starry Night because he was given a chance to recover. Or some of our My Journey members that have sort of moved on and flourished as well. They were given a chance to recover and they did so. So lastly, to quote Shakespeare's Hamlet, mental health crises are enterprises of great pitch and moment. And in responding to them as law enforcement officers, you have the capacity to bring a reality of recovery to a mental health victim. And finally, I thank you for the courage, the clarity, and the confidence that you bring to your work. Okay. Thank you. Nice.
John,
Yes.
I'm so very proud of you.
I'm proud of me too, but it makes my day hearing you say that, Leanne. Thank you. Thank you, Leanne.
You are an inspiration.
Thank you so much. Thank you,
And
Leanne.
you are human sunshine.
Well, thank you. Sunshine. I like that. Everybody's got to wear shades around me. Thank you, Leanne. Thanks for that positive feedback.
You're welcome.
Well, do you guys, do you have any questions or experiences with mental health crises that you want to share or?
How do people become members?
So they come in and they have to fill out an enrollment form. The conditions is they have to have received mental health services or are currently receiving mental health services.
And over 18.
Yes, and thank you.
Yeah.
Over 18. Yeah, they come in and fill an enrollment form and then they can start that day, or even if they don't feel comfortable filling it out that day, I will let someone kind of hang out and kind of feel it out a little bit. And yeah, I can't say I've ever had someone not come back at all.
No,
Very
yeah.
rarely. So, yep, or they can call up here and ask, and we can email. I've emailed and anything like that.
The word's getting out that My Journey is the place to
Yeah.
be.
Yeah.
People call in more and more. Well, I heard about you guys. What are you? They want more information and yeah.
Yeah, I was gonna say, in 2021 when I got here,
It was a shit show.
and
But
I,
Kyle rebooted
I'm
the
really sorry to
whole
say
the whole
this,
drop
but-
in.
I would never have let anyone that I care about come here, ever. And so when he was taken over, I'm like, oh my God, thank heavens. Because my son wanted to come here and I'm like, oh, you can't go there.
Oh
That's
God.
not safe. They were doing stuff they shouldn't have been doing.
Yes, it was.
I mean, like, could've, like,
sleep.
shut the,
Yes, it was bad.
terrible.
It was bad.
Hmm.
But we started back off in 2021 with 2 members. I hired John in 2022,
April of 2022. Yeah.
and back then 10 members were a lot. 15 was like, ooh, it's a busy
15
day.
is like we're
And
through the
now-
ceiling.
And
Yeah.
now today we're having 24 to 30 people here every day.
On average.
so,
Yeah. So we've
um,
grown.
Yes, and many members will say, they don't know what they would do without My Journey. We have recently, someone successfully has gotten their own place.
Yeah.
And we've had that happen a couple of times.
Yeah. Definitely.
We've helped people get jobs.
So keep them coming.
Yeah.
We'll keep building on, whatever we gotta do.
Yeah.
This is an important thing.
Oh yeah, and it is a safe haven.
It is.
And
It
they're not
is.
on the streets, they're here.
Yeah. And whenever I do an enrollment, I always tell new members, we are a safe, non-judgmental mental health recovery drop-in for you to make friends, to socialize, to go to support groups, to go to excursions. But that's safe, non-judgmental. That's what Kyle locks that in. Like he makes sure we all make sure that's upheld. But it was originally Kyle's ideological design to be, safe and non-judgmental, and members love that. I mean, because they're so used to judgments with their mental health challenge.
And I needed to be safe.
Yeah, safety is so
Yes.
important. Yeah,
Safety is just
safety is yeah.
Yes.
I will say that for this past week it's been inspirational hearing a lot of the recovery stories,
Oh yeah.
and yours in particular is one. Also,
Oh
commend you.
well, thank you. Wow, thank you.
Because we don't necessarily get to. It depends on the person. Like if that person stays in the area, we don't really get to follow up and see how people's lives end up.
Yeah,
And most of the time, like if we come in contact with someone who's experiencing a mental health challenge, they don't have the support system. They don't have someone advocating for them. They don't know resources, and so if we see them today, we're going to see them next week.
Yeah.
And they're going to be in the same state or worse. So it's novel to hear people who have your story, who had crises,
Yeah.
and then now you're where you are right now, and you're helping other people. So it's amazing to hear.
Wow. Thank you for saying that. Thank you so much. Yeah. Did you hear Taylor's story?
I did.
Oh man, I haven't heard that. I want to
Well,
hear
we
that.
we're working on it.
Okay.
Come next time.
Okay, cool. I'd love that. Yeah.
He doesn't need to
But
work
thanks
on
for
it.
saying it's inspirational. It is like, whenever I hear somebody's recovery story, if they were way negative a million, to doing okay, it restores hope. It shows that great things are possible.
Yeah.
Can I share something?
Yeah.
Do you remember meeting me for the first time?
At the AFC,
Yes.
I
You
do.
were running.
I
you came
remember,
back
yeah,
running,
yeah,
and I
yeah.
thought, oh, this staff is handsome. And he ran up the stairs, and he came up, and he comes back down, and he said, somebody says, hi, this is John. I said, well, it's nice to meet you.
I remember
He's a staff member.
you
He's
were
just
going through a lot of papers or something.
I was, because
Yeah.
I was doing an audit.
Okay.
Make sure that you were
I do
treated
remember
well.
that. Yeah.
And then we came back and we called Kyle
There
and
you
said,
go.
we got somebody for you.
I didn't know that you made that call
Oh, yeah.
until much
Oh, yeah.
later though.
And
Yeah.
John, you are just a beam of sunlight.
You are.
Oh, thank
You're
you,
a ray
thank
of
you.
sunshine.
John
Thank
walked
you.
in my office and just, as soon as he started talking, I'm like, oh, this is the guy.
Thank you.
So often, John,
Yeah.
people that don't have that human sunshine try to sniff it out.
I'm aware of
Don't
that.
let that happen.
I know,
Okay, just
I'm
be
aware of
yourself.
that. You have to protect your sunshine. You do.
Yeah.
Yeah. Have you guys ever experienced like a really intense mental health crisis you had to de-escalate?
Yeah.
Wow.
I actually resonated a lot when you mentioned, I think it's a sergeant now.
Povens?
Yeah.
Oh, I see you got promoted. Awesome.
Yeah.
Wow.
I had a similar situation with, I think it was 17 or 16.
Okay.
Down in Niles, he ran away from home.
Okay.
And he was going to jump off the Lake Street Bridge, the one that over.
Oh my gosh, I know that bridge. Yeah.
The train tracks.
Jeez.
Yeah. And I used that similar line. Right?
The
He was hearing voices as well.
yeah.
And I used a similar line.
Awesome about you're stronger than the voices in your mind. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's awesome. Wow. That one really does work. I mean, it's
Yeah.
and just this might be helpful to you guys. If somebody's hearing voices, it's more constructive to just call them intrusive thoughts. Because if I'm hearing a voice, like a psychotic voice, I'm not picking up a frequency from somebody else's voice in my mind or something. They're all my thoughts. Like with that situation with with Officer Povens, all those voices were her thoughts. Some of them are just very intrusive.
Yeah.
And for me at least, for somebody who's hearing voices kind of disembodies it. But if you say they're just your thoughts, you can control them, you can suppress some of those negative thoughts and bring forth the positive thoughts. That sometimes gives a person more control too. Just intrusive voices, not thoughts. Not voices. Intrusive thoughts, not voices. Yeah.
I have a question.
Yeah.
When you're in your crisis, do you remember a lot of it, or is it something like you've recovered from and a lot of the memory isn't there? Or?
The hospitalization itself, I remember just feeble fragments because they had me on a lot of strong medications that affected my thinking and it was hard to remember. But I remember some parts of the bog, especially when the 4 to 5 law enforcement officers found me in the clearing. I remember that very clearly. And I had my bicycle, because I didn't have a vehicle, so I biked there, and it was somewhere else in the forest, and I had to get that, and then I went to the hospitalization, and 12 years later, here I am. But I hear what you're saying about follow through, like you help somebody out, and then you never hear what happens to them, or like you said, you see them again next week. Somebody was saying that last spring that they've helped somebody in a mental health crisis and gotten hospitalized, and they never know the rest of their story. So I was hoping, one of these days, maybe I'll come across one of the law enforcement officers that's actually there in Buchanan and be like, oh, he's doing okay. When I certainly was not back then, but yeah.
I know one of the guys in the article. Would you like me to share the story with him about you that responded?
The police officer that responded to you, she knows him.
Back in June 28th, 2013?
Yeah.
Oh my, that would be a dream. I'd love that. Yeah, that would be incredible.
What
I
days do
love
you
that.
work?
What?
What days do you work here?
Monday, Tuesday, and Thursday.
Yeah.
Monday, Tuesday, and Thursday. You can get with John or Kyle to
Yep.
set up a visit.
Guaranteed those days here. Yeah, yeah.
I don't know if a visit would,
I don't-
but
or-
I'll definitely pass it on, like, hey, he's doing great, and give him a, you know, a success story for him.
Yeah, maybe that would be a relief to them, because
Yeah.
yeah, they were pretty incredible. They could have given me a noise violation or all these, but they knew I needed treatment, and yeah, so I'm so grateful for that. But
Do you ever think like that many officers like felt like some type of like overpowerment, or was it like crunching your space, or?
I didn't. They were they tread softly. They were kind, peaceful, moved slowly. You know, like they found me with a backpack with a tent. I had my passport, and I think I had burnt some dollar bills. You know, my mind was just very not logical, very disorganized. You know, I was psychotic. Then, so you're in a different mental state, and they were like, seeing them was like the remedy. I trusted them because of their strength and calmness, and I was like, that's my mind needs this strength and calmness. And
Who was your support person at that time in your life?
I didn't have one. I was like some of those people. My first manic episode was at 16, and in 2000, and from 16 to 29, from 2000 to 2013, for those 13 years, I forcibly saw a couple of psychiatrists, but I never took meds. I was completely non-med compliant up until that day on June 28th, and I started getting the right meds and started the long recovery. And I'm grateful for it. I'm grateful that, you know, law enforcement officers were so amazing at that scene. Gosh, it could have been really bad, you know, but it was a recovery, a start of recovery. So, yeah. Thanks for all the questions and the comments. Those were brilliant. Thank you.
You did great.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Thank you. Well, thanks again for hearing my presentation. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you.
Cool.
All right, everybody, I'll see you in the morning.
Final day tomorrow, right? Do you have Kelly tomorrow?
Yes.
Oh, excellent.